The story begins with a boy named Saito, who we see being threatened by his classmate Akane, and she tells him she will delete his existence if he tells anyone in their class about their marriage. We cut to 4 days earlier, where we see Akane angry at Saito because he filled the class journal with nonsense. He mentions that nobody reads it anyway, so she should go and read her books instead of bothering him, but she explains that she's just trying to make him a better person. They're interrupted by their classmate Himari, who tells Akane to go easy on him. She wonders why Akane is always bullying him, so she explains that she just gets the desire to crush him whenever she sees him. His cousin Shisei wonders if they're fighting again, but he explains that he's just getting bullied, which makes her pity him. Himari thinks Akane has a crush on him since she's always bothering him, but she mentions that even if he was the only man in the world, she wouldn't fall for him, and he also feels the same way. On his way back home, Saito receives a call from his grandfather Tenru, who invites him to have coffee, but he mentions that he needs to study. Tenru tells him he'll be leaving the company to him in the future, telling Saito he will regret not taking care of him. He politely rejects the invitation, but Tenru reminds him that he can't disobey him, and he suddenly gets surrounded by Tenru's guards, who make him get into their car. He wonders where they're taking him, but they aren't allowed to tell him anything, and one of them apologizes for their president's selfish actions, but he mentions that he's used to it. He recalls how his grandfather saved their family business by firing all the incompetent executives. They soon arrive at their destination, where Saito starts reading his book, but he's interrupted by Akane, who's shocked to see him there. He tells her he only came to meet his grandfather, and he wonders why she's there. So she reveals that her grandmother Chiyo invited her to have lunch, but seeing him has already spoiled her mood. He tells her to stop talking since he's reading, and they both start to argue, but they're suddenly interrupted by their grandparents. They all sit down to enjoy the meal, but Saito and Akane start arguing again, which makes their grandparents happy because they also used to fight when they were young. Saito wonders why he and Akane were invited, so their grandparents tell them they need to get married. Saito wonders if they're joking, and Akane thinks they're too young, but Chiyo mentions that they can get married when they turn 18. Tenru tells them how he and Chiyo have known each other for a long time, and they had mutual feelings for each other when they were young. But they never got connected, and he married his fiancée, who passed away 10 years ago. Chiyo's husband has also passed away, so they're enjoying their life together, but they wonder what would have happened if they married each other at a younger age. So they want their grandchildren to fulfill their dream and get married when they reach 18. But Akane notes that they're being selfish, because marriage is something that should be done after they fall in love. Saito agrees with her, saying he has no intention to marry her, and he mentions that it's illegal to force someone to get married. But their grandparents laugh at him, because Tenru knew he would say that. He tells Saito that if he doesn't marry Akane, he will give the entire company to a stray dog, telling Saito he doesn't care if their company ends with him. Chiyo whispers something in Akane's ears, which shocks her, and Tenru tells Saito and Akane that they have 3 days to set aside their current emotions and come up with a decision. After their grandparents leave, Saito asks Akane what Chiyo told her, but she tells him it doesn't concern him. He notes that he would like to know what the other party is using against her, but she still refuses to answer, saying it's her future. At home, Akane thinks about Saito, as she recalls that he always gets better grades than her. Himari suddenly calls her, and Akane immediately asks her what she would do if her family forced her to marry someone. She explains that she would reject the proposal, because she already has a crush on someone, which excites Akane, and she wonders who that person is. But Himari changes the topic, asking Akane if she also has feelings for someone. She reveals that she doesn't have a crush, so Himari tells her to accept the proposal, saying it will help her split the bills. But she thinks it isn't a good reason for marriage, and she worries about being intimate, so Himari jokes that she will have 100 children. Meanwhile, Saito thinks about how Akane is already bullying him at school, thinking the arguments at home would be too much for his soul. Shisei asks him why he's depressed, so he tells her that their grandfather has made an unreasonable demand. He explains that Tenru told him that if he wants to inherit their company, he must do everything his grandfather says, and if he doesn't accept it, Tenru will give the company to a dog. She asks him if he prefers his freedom or the company, and he mentions that he wants both, but she explains that it's selfish, telling him everyone must follow rules. He wonders if she wants him to inherit the company, but she mentions that she will stay by his side even if he loses everything. She knows that he needs their grandfather's company to fulfill his dreams, so she won't get in his way, but she mentions that she won't leave him no matter what happens. The next day, as Saito enters the class, he tries to talk to Akane, but she completely ignores him. After 3 days, their grandparents ask them if they have made up their minds, and they both surprisingly decide to get married, since they have no other option. Saito tries to leave, saying he will deal with the family register and ceremony after he graduates. But Tenru tells him they're getting married immediately, saying he has already prepared a new home for them. Saito tries to make an excuse, saying he needs to pack his things. But Tenru reveals that he has already moved their things to the new house, and Shio reveals that they have sent out the marriage letter. They enter the house, and Saito locks the door, but it makes Akane uncomfortable, as she mistakenly thinks he's trying to cut off her escape route. She likes the house, but she wishes she was living alone, saying it's all ruined since she needs to share it with him. She realizes that there's only one bed, so they immediately call Tenru, but he tells them they're married, so they'll need to share it. He mentions that they aren't allowed to sleep on the sofa or the floor, which makes Saito wonder if there are hidden cameras in their room. He offers to help Akane carry her stuff, and she rejects his offer, but she immediately falls, so he saves her, saying he'll be framed as the murderer if she dies on the first day of their wedding. He finds a pizza his grandfather left for them, and he thinks that even though Tenru is insane, he's also considerate. But as Saito is about to eat it, he realizes that Akane is hungry, so he offers to eat it together, but she rejects the idea of eating like a married couple. He tries to explain that it isn't like that, but she misunderstands him completely, thinking he's trying to take advantage of her. At night, as he goes to rest, Akane comes and lies down next to him, but she realizes that there's barely enough space, which makes him wonder if Tenru intentionally made their bed small. He wonders why she married him, but she refuses to tell him the reason, saying she'll do anything for her dream. But he asks her what they should do if they're forced to have a kid, which freaks her out. She accidentally moves into his hand, so she gets angry and starts twisting his fingers. We return to the present, as Akane threatens to kill Saito if he tells anyone about their marriage. She mentions that if anyone finds out about it, she will be forced to take her own life, which makes him wonder how much she hates him. He mentions that he also wants to keep their marriage a secret, but she doesn't believe him, so he swears he won't tell anyone they're living together, and she decides to trust him. As they enter the class, Himari wonders what they were talking about, so Akane comes up with an excuse, saying she was telling him to stop talking to her so casually. Shisei asks him where he stayed last night, saying his hair smells different, so he tells her his dad bought a weird shampoo, but she mentions that he also reeks of a girl. She wonders if he has gotten married, because their grandpa and his company were acting strange, so she looked into it, and she reveals that she knows where to find his new house. She notes that he's married to Akane, so he immediately covers her mouth and takes her outside. But she mentions that she isn't obliged to keep it a secret, because he didn't tell her about it himself. She asks for a bribe, but she can't decide what she needs, so she mentions that she will eventually tell him, but until that time, his life is in the palm of her hand. After his gym class, Saito is exhausted, but he's interrupted by Akane, who starts a senseless argument about the gym equipment, telling him to put them back in the storage room. Their classmates observe them and start commenting on how they're always fighting. Himari tells them they're getting famous among the students for fighting so often, and she mentions that there are people who believe they're like a real couple. So Akane freaks out, and she notes that they aren't married. The next day, as Saito is reading his book, he hears Akane screaming as she realizes that he has filled their refrigerator with juice. He explains that they're healthy and full of vitamins, but she tells him they don't have enough nutrients, so he shows her his cabinet of cup noodles, which shocks her even more. She wonders how he gets his protein, so he shows her his protein shake, but she thinks it isn't good for their body. He tells her to taste it, but she thinks it's poison, saying his taste buds are weird, but he proudly mentions that it took him a long time to build his current tolerance level. She thinks he will die if she leaves him, which will be problematic for their marriage, so she decides to show him how to cook food. As she cooks, she thinks he will be super happy with the food and thank her from the bottom of his heart, but he notices her smirking, so he thinks she's crazy. When she serves him the food, he wonders if it's poisoned and taps it to check if there are any nails, but he can't find any, so he takes a bite, and it reminds him of his childhood. She asks him if he likes it, and he notes that it's just a normal gently cooked meal, which actually means more than anything to him, but she gets angry and snatches his plate. She tells him he shouldn't eat it if it doesn't taste good, saying she will give it to a dog, but he mentions that he never said that it tastes bad, and he quickly finishes it all. The next morning, Akane tries to wake him up, but he thinks about Shisei, and he pulls her in. She gets angry, but he apologizes for his actions, saying he didn't expect her to wake him up, and she mentions that she only came to scold him for leaving the dishes uncleaned. He tells her to use the remaining dishes, saying he will clean them once they're all piled up, but she orders him to clean them now. She finds the toilet paper scattered in the bathroom and complains about it, but he mentions that he always cleans up once a month, telling her it's more efficient. On their way to school, he thinks about how they have opposite values, and he wonders if they can even survive together. After returning home, he enjoys playing his favorite video game, but Akane interrupts him, saying she can't focus because it's too noisy. She sees the screen and wonders why he's playing such a weird game, but he tells her it's a zombie hunting game. She finds it disgusting and tells him to turn it off, but he refuses, so she tries snatching the controller to turn it off. The console accidentally unplugs, shutting down the game, and as the doorbell rings, she goes to check and finds that it's more of Saito's belongings. But when she returns to let him know, she notices that he's depressed. After organizing all his books, he decides to take a bath, thinking he must prepare for another battle with Akane. But as he enters the bath, he's shocked to see Akane lying in the tub, so he leaves her there, but he wonders why she didn't notice his presence. He thinks she might have passed out, so he tries to call her, but she doesn't respond, so he goes back into the bath, and he realizes that she fell asleep. But he thinks she might drown, so he tries to take her out of the water, but he loses his balance, and she falls over him. So she freaks out, thinking he's a pervert, and she tells him to get lost, but he notes that he didn't do anything wrong. After a while, she realizes that she might have overreacted, because he might have been trying to help her. At night, she tries to talk to him, but he isn't interested in having a conversation with her, so she silently cries herself to sleep. The next day, Himari sees Akane crying on her desk, so she asks her what happened. Akane reveals that she's having problems with a boy because they aren't on good terms, but she wants to become his friend. Himari wonders if she's talking about Saito because she's been curious about him since last year, but she mentions that she isn't interested in him. So Himari tells her to work on communicating with the person, saying it's the best way to make them understand each other. She adds that Akane shouldn't focus on making the person respect her, saying she should respect him instead. Meanwhile, Saito meets Shisei, and she asks him why he isn't eating anything. So he notes that his house is a living hell, since Akane is always fighting with him, so it's ruined his appetite. She wonders if he can get a divorce, but he explains that he can't do it, because if he runs away, he won't get the company. She tells him to get along with Akane, but he thinks it's not possible, since their personalities don't match. She advises him to try understanding Akane's feelings and managing them, because he will become the CEO of their company, so he needs to master the skill, and he realizes that she has a point. As Saito returns home, he sees Akane waiting for him at the door, and he tries to walk past her, but she grabs his arm, telling him they need to talk. He wonders if she wants to talk about a divorce, but she mentions she wants to maintain their marriage, because she can't afford to break up with him. He suggests setting house rules so that they don't argue, and even though he prefers to wash his clothes and dishes when they have piled up, he agrees to wash them occasionally. She wonders if he has any requests, so he tells her to stop being angry if he accidentally touches her while they're in bed, telling her they barely have enough space to sleep. She asks him to play his horror games with headphones, telling him he shouldn't play them when she's around. So he wonders if she's scared, but she says that she just finds them distracting. He thinks saying thank you out loud improves the relationship, so he suggests that they should do it even for the smallest things. She reminds him to compliment her cooking, because it takes a lot of effort to cook for someone, so he notes that calling food normal is a compliment for him, but he mentions that it would take him a week to explain why. After that, Akane thanks Himari for her help, and she mentions that even though they haven't gotten closer, they had a discussion for 5 hours. As Saito enters the room, she allows him to touch her, but he mentions he was only talking about accidents. The next day after school, Saito brings a cake for Akane, and she's surprised that he knows her favorite food, so he mentions that she wrote about it in the class journal. But she thinks it's creepy because she wrote it on the corner, and she doesn't even remember writing it. But he mentions he has a good memory, and she thanks him by preparing a proper meal, which he finds delicious. After that, he cleans the dishes, as he thinks about her, realizing she isn't behaving like her usual self. But she suddenly joins him, and offers to help him out, as he realizes she can be cute when she's smiling. After a few days, as Saito reads a book, Akane tells him she has rented a cat movie, and she wants to watch it with him. He isn't interested in it, but when he sees her excitement, he agrees to watch it with her. While she fully concentrates on the movie, he dozes off, but he wakes up just before it ends. She thanks him, and mentions that since he watched her favorite movie, it's her turn to watch something that he likes. But he mentions that he likes games more than movies, and he thinks she might also get addicted to them, so he teaches her how to play. After 30 minutes, she starts enjoying it, and even manages to defeat him. At night, he thinks Akane is sleeping, so he tucks her in, but she's still awake, and she thanks him for taking care of her. He tells her they'll go shopping for their favorite games and movies next time, but she tells him to call her by her first name, saying she will do the same. The next day at school, Saito's eraser falls off his desk, so Akane picks it up for him. But Himari sees her and asks her if they fought, because she no longer argues with him. Himari wonders if they get along, but she thinks that could never happen with Saito, which shocks Himari, since she can't recall them calling each other by their first names, so Akane suddenly rushes home, but Himari reminds her it's only their first period. Saito visits the library to read a book on communication skills, but Shisei finds him there and covers his eyes with wet hands. He wonders why she did that, so she explains that she just wanted to fix his dry eyes. But she notices the book in his hands and wonders why he's reading it, so he tells her he wants to improve his relationship with Akane. After that, Saito asks Akane if she's going out with her friends, since he wants to go shopping with her. But she thinks he's asking her out on a date, so he quickly drags her away. Saito tells her it isn't a date, saying it would be a hassle to carry bags alone, so she will only be helping him, and she agrees to go out with him. After her classes, Akane is about to leave, but Himari stops her and invites her to eat her favorite food. But she turns her down, telling her she needs to meet someone. So Himari wonders if she's meeting her new friend, saying she would also like to meet him, but Akane notes that they have already met, which makes her wonder if she's talking about Saito. So she gets nervous and tries to escape quickly, but she accidentally steps on Shisei, who reveals that she was waiting for her. She asks Akane about her plans with Saito, but she runs away without answering her question. Akane waits for Saito, and she reminds herself that it isn't a date because they're only buying essential groceries. They visit the nearby market, where Saito picks expensive eggs, but she tells him to buy the cheaper ones, since they're basically the same. She sees a crowd preparing to buy meat because it's on sale, and she rushes to join them as they fight over the meat. But she fails to get anything, and when Saito tries his luck, he also ends up failing. Akane notes that even though they lost today, they will win it the next time. Saito isn't interested in doing it again, but when she tells him that they must do it together, he immediately changes his mind. As they head home, Saito praises her, telling her she will make a decent wife one day, but she reminds him that she's already married. At night, Akane suddenly wakes up, and she sees Saito's hand coming towards her, so she thinks he's trying to assault her. But he mentions that he just found her face cute, so he wanted to pinch it. She asks him for details, and he explains that he found her sleeping face so cute that he lost his cool, so she allows him to look at her while she sleeps. The next day, Akane is still lost in her thoughts, and she accidentally burns their breakfast, so Saito rushes to help her, but she realizes that he isn't wearing anything. On their way to school, they share a loaf of bread, but Himari sees them together and asks them what they're doing. So Akane comes up with an excuse, saying Saito was stalking her, and she explains that she threw away her leftovers, but he picked it up and started eating it, but he notes that he would never do such a thing. At night, Saito sees Akane preparing for their upcoming quiz, which surprises him, and he reveals that he never studies for their tests because he remembers everything during class. He makes her a strawberry sandwich, which she finds delicious, and she thinks it will help her do better in the quiz. In the following days, he continues to make her sandwiches whenever she studies, but because she isn't sleeping enough, she ends up collapsing at school. Himari helps her, and she wonders if Akane is okay, so she mentions that she wasn't able to get enough sleep since she was busy studying. So Himari advises her to take care of herself, but Akane says she doesn't care, as long as she gets to be the top scorer, but Himari thinks she will never beat Saito. She becomes upset hearing this, and she mentions that she'll beat him even if it takes 100 years, but Himari reminds her that they'll be graduating. She wonders if Akane plans to attend the same university as him, but she mentions that she won't, since it could mean she has a crush on him. As Saito comes to give her a sandwich, he notices that she has a fever, so he tries to lower her temperature. She notes that she needs to study for her dream of becoming a doctor, even if she needs to force herself, so that the people around her can stay healthy. She reveals that her family isn't rich, so they don't have enough money to send her to medical school, but her grandmother promised to pay her tuition if she married Saito. She thinks he has it all, because even without studying, he always gets better grades than her, but he notes that talent varies from person to person. She admits that she looks up to him, but she suddenly realizes what she's saying, and tells him to forget it. Her temperature gets even higher, but she stops him from calling an ambulance, because it should be reserved for people in critical condition. He tries to look for a taxi, but since there's none available, he picks her up and starts running towards the hospital. She's surprised by his strength, and she thinks he'll make fun of her because of her dream, but he believes that she can pull through anything. He thinks their marriage was an unfortunate event, but he's sure that they'll have a happy ending. It turns out to be just a normal fever, and Akane gets better after a week, but Saito starts teasing her, reminding her that she looks up to him, and he mentions that he even recorded what she said. Saito meets Himari at school, and she congratulates him on getting a perfect score in the quiz, but when she gets too close, it makes him uncomfortable. After she leaves, Akane approaches him and tells him he shouldn't get too close to girls, saying she won't allow it as his wife. As they walk around the campus, Akane tells Saito to wait for her, but he refuses to stop because he thinks she will hurt him. But she just gives him his lunch, asking him why he left it behind. He mentions that he forgot to take it with him, but she thinks he just hates the food that she makes. So he tells her he's happy with her cooking, which makes her blush, and she wants him to eat all of it because she put her all into making it. During their lunch, Shisei tells Saito to give her all of his food, telling him she's hungry, and it's his job as the big brother to help her. He mentions that she must have eaten a heavy breakfast, and she tells him she ate 3 bowls of rice, so he notes that she's eating more than him. But she still tries to take his lunch, and their classmates tell him to share his food. Himari notices that his lunchbox is the same as Akane's, and their classmates wonder if they're dating. So she tells them that it's not the case, and everyone teases them, saying it's proof that they're married. But as Saito tries to explain the situation, Shisei eats all of his food, saying he should thank her since she removed the evidence. After that, Himari runs into Saito and asks him if Akane really made lunch for him. He notes that they just use the same frozen food, but it's safe to assume she tried to copy him, and Himari is relieved that they aren't dating. At night, Akane suddenly wakes up, and she starts screaming, so Saito also wakes up, and she tells him she saw a ghost, but he doesn't believe her and tries to go back to sleep. She refuses to let him sleep since she's scared, so he tells her they should check if there really is something in the house, but she grabs him, telling him to stay with her. After that, as he reads in his room, she tells him she heard the ghost's footsteps while she was studying. So he tells her to bring him photos as proof, but she starts crying as she mentions that she can't do that because the ghost might haunt her. She starts studying there, saying she will protect him from the ghost, and he tells her to go to her room, but she refuses to leave. He goes to the bathroom, but she starts to bang on the door, telling him to keep it open. After that, as she's about to go to the bathroom, she mentions that it's dangerous for her to take a bath alone, so she tells him to come with her. He sits outside the door, and she asks him if he's still there, but when he doesn't respond, she comes out without wearing anything, so he yells at her to put on a towel. The next day at school, Shisei realizes that something happened with Akane, and Saito wonders how she knows, so she notes that it's because of the way he sounds. She knows that he comes to her for comfort, so she opens her arms, telling him to hug her, but he picks her up, telling her it's dangerous to stand there. He tells her how Akane thinks there's a ghost in their house, and Shisei thinks it might be true, so she promises to investigate it. After that, Shisei tells Akane that she knows about her marriage to Saito, saying they're living under the same roof. She mentions that she can see through everything, but they pick her up and take her to an empty classroom. Akane is angry that Saito told Shisei about their marriage, but he assures her that he didn't say anything, and she tells Akane he's telling the truth. She notes that it shouldn't be surprising that his family knows about their marriage, and she tells them their house has evil spirits, saying that if they aren't exorcised, Akane's grades will fall by 50 points. So she asks Shisei what they should do, and she tells Akane to let her see their house. So they take Shisei to their house, where she tells them it's filled with spirits, and she mentions that it will be destroyed soon. Akane wonders if they should burn it, but Shisei promises to take care of the spirits. She goes to inspect Saito's study room, and she tells him she knows that he reads dirty books, because every time she tries to see what he's reading, he closes the book. Akane tells him to stop doing it, but he explains that he only reads normal novels. As Shisei goes through the room, she finds his underwear, which makes Akane embarrassed, but she sniffs it, so he takes it away from her. After that, she goes to investigate Akane's study room, and Akane notes that there aren't any spirits there. But Shisei knows that she's only saying that so that she won't go through her stuff. Akane takes Shisei to where she saw the ghost, saying it was like the shadow of a little kid, but after thinking for a while, Shisei reveals that she was the ghost. They don't understand what she means, so she tells them she has been coming to their house in secret since a few days ago, saying she got the key from their grandfather. They're annoyed that she didn't tell them the truth from the beginning, but she explains that she visits them in secret so that she doesn't come between their romantic moments. She thinks that since she solved their case, she deserves dinner as a reward, saying she loved the lunch that Akane made, so she agrees to cook for her. While Shisei eats, Saito cleans her face, which makes Akane think they're too close. After that, Shisei plays games while sitting on Saito's lap, and he asks Akane if there's something wrong with her, saying she looks like a demon, which makes her angry. After that, as Akane and Saito go to bed, she's relieved that she can finally talk to him alone. She mentions that she has complaints for him, saying she wishes he would have told her before buying the cat game, because she wanted to play it first. They start to argue with each other, and she tells him she should complain to him once every day because it will take a load off her chest. She tells him he pampers Shisei too much, and he asks her why it's a problem. But they're surprised as Shisei suddenly appears between them, saying she sleeps with him every time he comes over. She explains that she has been with him since she was a baby, and she feels calm when she hugs him, saying she thinks it's unfair that Akane is always with him. But she notes that she isn't doing it because she likes it, saying it's a condition set by their grandparents for their marriage. Shisei notes she can sleep on the floor if Akane wants to get intimate with him, but she doesn't have any plans for that, so she tells her she can stay with them. After Saito falls asleep, Shisei mentions that she knows Akane felt jealous when she was with him, and Akane says it's not true, but Shisei can tell she's lying. She tells Akane that Saito is a slow person, so she needs to clearly express her feelings for him to understand. Akane wonders what she means, but she just cuddles with Saito, and Akane tells her to get away from him. In a flashback, we see Akane with Himari, who invites her to watch a TV show, but she tells her she doesn't have time to play with her because she still needs to study. She mentions that she isn't interested in her, but Himari wants to be her friend, and she invites her to take the long way home, promising to treat her to a strawberry parfait. We return to the present, as Himari asks Akane if she likes Saito, and she strongly denies it, asking Himari why she asked her that question. So she reveals that she has a crush on him, saying she likes everything about him. She mentions that her friend passed out during the sports festival, and everyone panicked, but he kept his cool, so she thinks he's a dependable person. She admits that she looks up to him because he's confident and kind, and she asks Akane to help her get close to him. She agrees to do it, asking Himari what she wants her to do, so she mentions that she wants to get to know him. We see Saito resting in his house, but he realizes that Akane is stalking him. She takes a video of him while he's eating, so he asks her why she's doing it, but she refuses to tell him the reason. She wonders what kind of girl he likes, but he explains he doesn't have a specific type, and she asks him about his favorite food, so he tells her he likes steak. He mentions that he wants his steak served rare, saying his favorite garnish is garlic sauté, but she thinks he likes to eat them raw. The next day, Akane tells Himari that Saito prefers raw meat, so she realizes that he's a weirdo, but Akane asks her why she's happy. So she explains that she feels closer to him because she's starting to learn more about him, and Akane mentions that he likes to read books and play video games. Himari asks her about the games he likes to play, so she mentions that he likes zombie shooters, but she finds it disgusting, saying he should play other games instead. When Akane returns home, she mentions they'll be eating fish, but Saito asks her when they will eat steak, because she asked him about it, so she tells him she will take responsibility. They buy the ingredients for the steak, and Akane mentions that it's her favorite time of day because it reminds her of her childhood. She reveals that she was always looking forward to eating her mother's cooking when she gets home, but Saito tells her it has nothing to do with him. Akane cooks the steak, and she tells Saito to eat it, so he takes a bite, and he's surprised by how delicious it is. She's glad that he has finally acknowledged her greatness, and she tells him she will cook anything for him. Himari asks Saito about the kind of girl he likes, because her friend told her he doesn't have a preference, but she refuses to tell him who her informant is. So he explains that romance shouldn't be dictated by type, because they're just limited patterns, and he mentions that humans are complicated, so they can't love someone they don't really know. But she wonders if he likes her, so he asks her what she means, but she tells him she was just joking. Shisei suddenly appears, and she knows that he's attracted to Himari, so he tells her it's not true, but she explains that she can sense it. As Saito plays video games, Akane searches his room, and she finds his super secret notebook. She prepares to open it, but he suddenly appears behind her, so she panics, telling him she isn't a secret agent, but he doesn't seem to care. She tells him to recommend something for her to read, but he gives her a giant book, telling her it's a good read. Himari reads the book, but she mentions she couldn't understand a single word, so Akane thinks she should have asked Saito for an easier book. But Himari tells her it's okay, saying she can ask him about it. She starts talking to him, as Akane observes them, and he helps her understand the book. He mentions that he owes her, because she always stops Akane when she's bullying him. But Himari reveals that she saved her when she was being bullied by everyone, so she knows that Akane isn't a bad person. He mentions that he likes her hair, and she tells him he's just like Akane, because she also told her that her hair is beautiful. But we see Akane listening in, as Shisei tells her that Himari has always been into Saito, and she thinks they could end up with each other. But Akane thinks Himari is too good for him, so Shisei realizes that she doesn't want them to be together. After that, Himari is happy that she was able to talk to Saito, and Akane believes he's also into her, so she thinks she has a chance. She wants to head to Akane's house, but she mentions that her place is a mess, so she can't invite anyone over. But Himari mentions that Shisei bragged about visiting her house, so she wonders if Akane doesn't want her there, and she tells her it's not the case, saying she just needs to clean up her mess. Akane returns home, and she tells Saito that Himari will visit them, telling him to hide in his room until she leaves. But she suddenly rings the doorbell, so he tells Akane to deal with her while he cleans up. But as he hides his belongings, he realizes that she's already in the house, so he runs for cover, and the girls have tea at the dining table. She asks Akane if she can invite Saito on a date, because she thinks Akane has feelings for him, but she explains that she hates his attitude. Himari is glad that they aren't rivals in love, but Saito is sad hearing this. At the classroom, Himari invites Saito to go out with her, but Shisei asks Akane if she's okay with it. So she explains that she wants Himari to be happy, but Shisei knows that she also has feelings for Saito. That evening, Saito asks Akane if he can go on a date with Himari, and she wonders why he's asking for permission, so he reminds her that they're married. But she tells him he can go out with anyone he wants, because she doesn't even want to be his wife. The next day, Saito prepares to leave, but Akane suddenly begs him not to go, because she doesn't want to see him with another girl. He mentions he was waiting for her to say this, revealing that he rejected Himari, so she realizes that he tricked her, but he invites her to go shopping with him, reminding her that it's their day off. She mentions that she hasn't dressed up yet, but he tells her she's already beautiful, and he promises to buy anything for her. We see Saito talking to Himari, but he wonders why she's still speaking to him, because he already turned her down. But she explains that she won't give up on him, saying she will make him love her, and we see Akane watching them, as she mentions that she won't lose, but she wonders what she's saying. Himari prepares Saito's favorite food for him, and he wonders how she knows about it, so she looks at Akane, who tries to hide herself. He mentions that he has his lunch, but she asks him to at least have a bite, since it took effort to prepare it. The whole class takes her side, and he decides to try it, but she feeds him with her own hands. Akane interrupts them, and she mentions that he should eat his lunch first, but Himari thinks she's jealous, so she starts feeding her as well. She asks Saito if he can help her study, since he's their class's top scorer, and she invites him to her home, telling him her parents won't be there. He reminds her that he had already turned down a date with her, but she notes that she'll keep trying until he falls for her, which frustrates Akane. Himari wonders if he's scared that he might fall for her, but Akane suddenly stops them, telling her it's dangerous for her to be alone with him, since he might do something weird with her. Himari mentions that she has no problem with it, but Akane tells her she'll regret it in the future when she's forced into a marriage. Himari thinks Akane can help her get the third top spot, so she asks her to join them. But Shisei interrupts them, and they realize she has always been the third top scorer in their batch. So Himari realizes she can also teach her, and tells everyone they should study at Akane's house. Akane packs all of Saito's belongings in a plastic bag, and she welcomes them into the house. He asks Himari what she can't understand in math, but she reveals that she hasn't understood anything since first grade. But after a while, he manages to teach her about the subject, and Himari praises his teaching methods, thinking he's better than their teachers, but Akane thinks she's better than him. Himari gets close to him and asks him to continue teaching her, but he notices Akane's angry expressions, so he backs off. Shisei tells him she's bored, and they should take a break, so they all start playing a game, but he manages to defeat everyone. He mentions that he's going to the market, and tells them to continue playing, but Akane follows him to make sure he doesn't quit while he's in the lead. She praises his strong memory, and he mentions that he was always treated like a freak, but she admits that she's jealous because he doesn't need to study. As they return home, they notice Shisei and Himari playing games, and Saito wonders why Akane didn't hide his gaming console, so she explains that she didn't have enough time for that. He notes that the break is over, and Akane invites everyone to have tea, since they brought sweets. Himari thanks Saito for teaching her, and he thinks she has potential. She wonders if they can study at his place next, but he rejects her offer, so she starts teasing him, and accidentally spills tea over her shirt. He quickly brings a wiping cloth, which makes her wonder how he knew where to find it. He tells her it was just a gut feeling, and Akane mentions that Himari's uniform will get stained, so she should quickly wash it. In her absence, Akane tells Saito he was careless because he was attracted to Himari, and he tries to deny it, but she notes that his face turned red when Himari clung to him. She thinks it's all because he tutored Himari, and she complains that he never tried to teach her, but he reminds her that she was the one who refused his help. Their conversation is interrupted by a sudden power failure, which makes her scream. He tells her he'll check the breaker, but she grabs his arm since she's too scared. She thinks boys like girls who are honest, so he tells her to just be herself, but she mentions that they aren't talking about her. He explains that he was also talking about another stubborn girl who's hardworking and shy, but even though she wasn't honest with herself, she never means harm to anyone. He thinks he's starting to figure out what's on her mind, and he doesn't even hate her most troublesome side, which makes Akane smile. But the power is suddenly restored, and Himari joins them, asking them what they're doing. The next day in class, Saito asks Shisei if she was behind the power failure, because only their house's power was cut off, but she tells him it wasn't her. Himari once again asks him for help, because she's having trouble understanding their lesson. She suggests Akane should also ask for his help, but she mentions that she doesn't need it. After Himari leaves, she whispers to ask for his help when they get home, which makes them both flustered. Saito teaches Akane, and she praises his method, but he mentions that he only developed it to help others, because he doesn't need to study. He tells her it's enough for the day, but she wants to continue studying, so he reminds her that she might get sick again. He wonders why she dreams of becoming a doctor, but she notes that it doesn't concern him. He mentions that he wishes to learn more about her, so she reveals that she had a younger sister who was always sick. Her parents worked hard to pay for her medicine, and she took care of the house in their absence, but she couldn't help her sister, so she decided to become a doctor and help others. Saito wonders where her sister is, but she tells him she's somewhere far away. The next morning, Akane watches a program about the bond between siblings, and she thinks he's lucky he has a little sister. Saito tells Shisei about Akane's depressed mood, and she thinks he should take her shopping. Saito invites Akane to hang out next weekend, which shocks her, and she thinks he should go out with Shisei, since she's his younger sister. He notes that they'll visit a sweet shop, which excites her, but she forgets about the curry she's cooking, so it gets ruined. Akane meets Chiyo, who is curious about her life, so she mentions her upcoming date with Saito, which makes Chiyo happy. She takes Akane home, and shows her an exclusive dress collection, which she had prepared for when Akane falls in love. On the day of their date, Saito is left dazzled by Akane's beauty, but she notes that it was Chiyo's idea for her to dress up. He takes her to a karaoke club, but she freaks out since she has heard that couples kiss on karaoke dates. But he assures her that he won't kiss her, and notes that it's not a date. After that, they visit a lemonade shop, where Akane asks Saito why he asked her out. He mentions that she was sad, so he wanted to cheer her up, and she tells him they should go to a place of his choice. But he surprises her by taking her to a supplement store, where he enjoys free samples of different vitamins. They pass by a jewelry store, and Akane stops when she sees a beautiful ring. Saito asks her to buy it if she likes it so much, but she notes that it would only get in the way of her cooking, and she admits that she can't afford it. We go back to Akane's childhood, where she asks her mother if her ring is bothering her, but she explains that she won't remove it, because it's a symbol of love. She notes that Akane will understand when she gets older, and the right person comes into her life. Akane prepares breakfast for Saito, and he enjoys it while watching TV, but she thinks he should look at her and praise the food. He tells her she's the best, but he realizes she isn't satisfied, so he wonders if she expects him to bow before her, which embarrasses her, and she runs away. At school, Saito asks Shisei if he can come to her house after school, and she tells him he's always welcome. Shisei starts playing with Saito, and even her mother Reiko joins her in teasing him. She invites him to eat there, but he notes that Akane's already preparing dinner for him, so he can't eat at their house. He asks her if he can get a temporary job at her company, because he needs money to buy a present. She suggests asking his grandfather if he needs money, but he explains that he doesn't want to owe him further. She notes that her company needs a translator, and she mentions that he needs to learn a rare language in just 3 days, but he thinks one night is more than enough for him. Saito returns home, and quickly goes through all the books, but seeing him study shocks Akane, who wonders if he's dying. He explains that he needs to learn a new language in 1 night, and she wishes she could have his brain. She asks him why he's learning it, but he notes that it doesn't concern her, which makes her angry. The next day, Saito once again accompanies Shisei on her way home, which makes Akane jealous. After that, while Saito tries to work, Shisei sits on his lap, which makes it harder for him to concentrate, but she continues to tease him. He thinks she isn't happy, because he's working to buy a present for Akane, but she knows that he needs to do it to live more comfortably. She notes that ever since he got married, she hasn't spent much time with him, but she can't blame him, because she knows that he's doing it to fulfill his dream. Because of his work, Saito gets home late, and Akane interrogates him, but he tells her he had an important task to finish. Akane meets Chiyo, and tells her how Saito has been coming home late, saying he even refuses to eat dinner with her. Chiyo notes that he's a charming young man, and she thinks girls like him, but Akane mentions that Himari would have told her about it if she had a relationship with him. Chiyo is happy that Akane has done her homework, but she thinks Akane is just like her younger self, because she also had trouble expressing her true feelings. The next day at school, Himari tells Akane that Saito rejected her again, but she suddenly notices that Shisei smells like him. At night, Akane waits for Saito, but when he doesn't arrive on time, she tries to assure herself that life is better without him. She thinks she should call him, but she realizes they haven't exchanged numbers yet, so she uses the directory to find the number of Chisei's house. Chisei's mate picks up the phone, but instead of giving it to Saito, she connects the call to Reiko, who tells her he's busy and that it shouldn't worry her since they aren't a real couple. Saito soon completes his job, so Reiko gives him the money, and she tells him about Akane's call. When he returns home, Akane is angry at him because he didn't pick up the phone, but he has no idea what she's talking about. She thinks he must have been flirting with Chisei, but he wonders how she knows he went to her house. She tells him if he loves Chisei so much, he should marry her, but he shows her the ring, and he explains that he had been working as a translator to collect enough money to buy it for her. She wonders why he bought it, so he reveals that it's a peace offering because he wants them to get even closer. In the following days, we see that Akane is in a great mood, and she keeps looking at her ring, while Saito is just happy to enjoy the delicious meals she prepares for him. But one day as she goes to school, Akane forgets to take off the ring, and when she tries to greet Himari, Saito drags her to a corner. He reminds her that even though she loves her ring, she shouldn't wear it at school. So she puts it away, but Chisei sees her ring and compliments it. She wonders if she can have it, but Akane tells her to buy another one, because Saito got it for her. After arriving home, Akane notices she has lost her ring, so she tries to look for it, but she can't find it anywhere. She thinks about buying another one, but rejects the idea, since Saito bought it for her, and her mother told her that a ring represents a person's feelings of love. So she reassures herself that she'll definitely find it, and once again starts looking for it. The next day at school, Chisei knows that Akane lost the ring, since she looks depressed. Chisei decides to help her look for it, since she cooks delicious meals, and she also loves Saito. Despite looking everywhere, they're unable to find it, and Akane thinks she should find it alone, but Chisei notes that she has the bad habit of putting the entire burden on herself. She suggests they should ask for Saito's help, since he has the solution to every problem, but Akane rejects the idea. After that, Chisei goes to their house, and Saito wonders if she knows where Akane is, but she claims to be clueless. He eventually realizes that Akane lost the ring, and he tells her they'll buy another one. But she notes that it can't be replaced, because even though their marriage was fake, the ring showed his true feelings for her. He helps her recall all the places she went, and thanks to his good memory, he realizes that she might have dropped it outside the grocery store. So they check the drain, and they're able to find it there. She thanks him for his help, and he puts it on her finger. But she realizes that he placed it on her left ring finger, where the engagement rings are placed. He offers to remove it if she isn't comfortable, but she stops him and tells him to leave it for now. As Saito reads a book at school, a girl calls him, and he wonders who she is, but he only remembers an old memory of seeing her. She introduces herself as Maho and asks him to become her boyfriend, which shocks him, but she notes that she isn't a stranger because she knows a lot about him. She mentions how he turned down Himari because he's living with Akane, which freaks him out, and he wonders how she knows that, but she refuses to answer. She asks him out again and threatens to reveal his secret if he refuses. She tries to kiss him, but Chisei suddenly kicks her away. She mentions that she'll protect him from all of his enemies no matter how strong they are, but Mao quickly grabs her because she finds her cute. She's about to take her away, but the school bell suddenly rings, and she quickly takes her leave. Chisei finds her fishy, so she tells him to be careful, but he reminds her that Mao almost kidnapped her. Saito notices that Himari is going somewhere with Akane, which relieves him, because he'll finally have some free time. But Mao suddenly enters the classroom, and she tells everyone she's looking for him. His classmates become jealous, because they know that Himari likes him, and now another cute girl is looking for him, but he rushes out of the room. Mao follows him, and he asks her why she confessed to him, so she explains that it was love at first sight, but he thinks he isn't that good looking. She slides down the stairs, and he's forced to catch her, which makes him question her judgment, but she thinks everyone should enjoy life, since we never know when we might die. She wonders if he loves Akane, because they live together, but he tells her it's not the case. She offers to treat him, because she needs to repay him for saving her earlier, but he turns her down. But she asks for his help to explore the shopping district, because she needs to buy sweets for her friends. They visit a restaurant, where Mao eats burgers, and she notes that her sister stops her from eating junk food. Saito can relate to it, because Akane does the same to him. She notices sauce on his finger, so she quickly cleans it with her mouth, and takes a picture of them together. She tells him it's to preserve a memory, but he asks her to delete it, so she runs out of there, and he follows after her until she becomes too tired to continue. She agrees to delete it, so he tells her to continue their tour, which surprises her because she was expecting him to be angry at her. She knows that he and Akane are always fighting, so he notes that she's his nemesis, but Mao thinks he's a nice guy and she wants to visit his house. But he denies her request, so she threatens to expose his marriage, leaving him with no other option. Akane is shocked to see him with her younger sister Mao, and Saito wonders why she didn't tell him she was Akane's sister. Mao jumps at Akane and tells her she missed her. Saito reminds Akane how he told him she lost her sister, but she notes that she never said anything about her being dead. Mao reveals she was on a foreign trip with the money she received from Chio, and she wishes to investigate their married life. She rushes to their bedroom, where she's surprised to see 2 pillows on the bed, but they both explain they haven't done anything. She decides to stay with them, so she can ensure that they don't do anything fishy, which makes Saito anxious. Akane decides to cook porridge for them, but Mao asks her to cook something else, because she always cooked it for her when they were little. Akane decides to add eggs and plums to change the flavor, but she's shocked to see Shisei when she opens the refrigerator. Shisei pretends to be unconscious so that Saito can give her CPR, but when Mao rushes to help her, she returns to the fridge, telling her she only wants Saito's help. She and Mao argue over who's the better younger sister of Saito, and they ask him to judge them. After seeing Mao's performance, Saito notes that it's too much, and he thinks Shisei is the best little sister because she's extremely cute. But Akane tells Mao she'll always be her #1 sister, which makes her happy. Mao tells Akane to leave Saito, telling her she'll marry him instead. She explains that their grandparents only care about their grandchildren's marriage, so it doesn't matter if it's either of them. She tries to warn Mao by telling her about Saito's bad habits, but she has no problem with them, and she even shows Akane their picture, saying they're already getting along quite well. She promises to take care of Saito, and Akane tries to stop her, but she wonders why she just did that. Meanwhile, Saito is taking a bath, but Mao interrupts him, so he tells her to leave, but she threatens to tell Akane that he tried to assault her. She tells him they should get married, and offers to do anything he wants in return, but he tells her to give him time to think about it. At night, Saito collapses on the bed, telling Akane he's tired because of Mao, but she starts praising her sister, which makes him sleepy. She asks him if he wishes to break up with her, which shocks him, and he wonders why she would ask that. She explains that she was just curious, but upon thinking about it, they both realize that they aren't sure what they want to do with their lives. They all visit the amusement park, and Mao mentions that it's time for her date with Saito, which makes Himari wonder what kind of relationship they have. Mao notes that she's Himari's love rival, so Himari refuses to lose to her. They go on different rides at the park, and everyone's enjoying their time together, except for Akane, who's scared to death. As she goes on the Ferris wheel with Saito, he realizes that she's scared, and she mentions that she doesn't understand why anyone would make such things. She hates all the rides in the park, and he wonders why she decided to join them, so she notes that it's because of Mao. She reveals that Mao likes to do fun things with everyone, and she thinks it's because Mao has been bedridden for a long time, so Akane wishes to be with her while she's in Japan. Saito offers to hold Akane's hand, and she notes that he's trying to pull something funny because they're alone, but he thinks it will calm her down. So she allows it, and it helps her stop shaking. They go to a haunted house, which makes Akane cry, while Saito and Mao are impressed by how realistic the zombie looks. He notes that a haunted house isn't the best place for someone like Mao, who isn't afraid at all, but she mentions that she likes seeing other people get scared. She suddenly falls to her knees, which makes him wonder what happened to her, so she mentions that she just feels tired. She's unable to walk anymore, so he carries her to a bench. He asks her if she has taken her medicine, and as he's about to call Akane, Mao jumps up, telling him she was only joking so that he would carry her. He gets angry and tells her never to joke about that again, because no one will believe her if she gets sick. She thinks he shouldn't get angry, but he needs her to understand the seriousness of the situation. At night, as Saito goes to bed, Mao suddenly jumps on him. He asks her if she was present at his grandfather's party when he graduated from primary school, but she has no idea what he's talking about. He mentions that he met a beautiful girl there, and as he describes his meeting with her, Mao thinks it's like he's talking about his first love. She reveals that she's the same girl and tells him they should get married since he's in love with her, but he stops her when she starts getting too comfortable. She tells him she loves him, but he knows that she hates him because her words don't have the same strength as Akane's. She admits that he's right, and she pins him down, telling him she'll still kiss him. He asks her why she wants a person she hates to become her first kiss, but Akane suddenly arrives, and she gets angry, so she tells them she hates them and kicks them out of the house. Saito offers to take Mao back to her home while he stays in a hotel, but she wishes to stay with him. As they reach the hotel, he quickly gets into his room and locks the door, which annoys her. She tells him if he doesn't open the door, she'll tell everyone he brought her to a hotel without her parents' permission, so he ends up letting her in, but she threatens him with a fire extinguisher, so he takes it away from her and tells her to get out, which makes her cry. He asks her if she's shocked that Akane told her she hates her, and she mentions that Akane never gets mad at her, but Mao thinks she won't talk to her anymore. She apologizes to Saito, since she got him kicked out, and she offers to repay him with her body, but he just tells her to go to sleep. She asks him to put her to sleep, so he gently taps her head, thinking she and Akane are both troublemakers. The next morning, he realizes that she has fallen ill, and she mentions that she needs her medicine to function properly, but she left it in the house. He prepares to call an ambulance, but she stops him because they will call her family, and Akane will find out that she has gotten sick. He tells her she shouldn't worry about such things, but she assures him it's a normal situation for her. He takes her to the hospital, and he decides to leave before her parents arrive, so that they won't misunderstand anything. She asks him to keep it a secret from Akane, and she notes that Akane has been taking care of her all her life, which is why she couldn't make any friends. He mentions that it's because of her personality, but Mao knows that she's a good person, and she notes that she doesn't want her to worry, so that she can enjoy her life. After that, he calls Shisei and asks to stay with her for a while, which makes her realize he fought with Akane. He goes to school, where Akane wonders if he knows where her sister went, because her parents just told her Mao went on another trip. He notes that her parents might be telling the truth, but she thinks something's strange, because Mao would have said something to her before leaving. She thinks he must know something, because he's close with Mao, but he tells her that isn't the case, and goes to class. After school, Saito brings food for Mao, and he wonders if she always begs Akane to give her what she wants, but she mentions that Akane never bought junk food for her. He's surprised that she travels so much, even though she has a weak body, and she notes that she doesn't know how long she'll be alive, so she wants to enjoy her life. She wishes to be happy when she goes abroad, so that Akane won't be worried about her, which is why she told him to keep her situation a secret. He notes that he thought she was just angry at him for taking Akane away from her, but he realized that she only wishes for her sister to be happy. Mao reveals that she tried to take Akane's place, because she didn't want her sister to marry the boy she hates. Mao starts crying, because she thinks Akane hates her, but Saito assures her that her sister still loves her. She wonders why he's taking care of her, so he tells her it's because he also wants Akane to be happy. As he leaves, he sees Akane standing outside their door, but she runs away and starts blushing, because she heard everything. After a week, Mao apologizes to Akane for her actions, and she tells her to forgive Saito, because he didn't do anything. Akane tells her she shouldn't try to sacrifice her happiness, and Mao notes that she's starting to fall in love with Saito, which makes Akane angry at him for tricking her sister. Mao mentions that she knows the girl Saito was talking about, and she offers to tell him if he kisses her, but he yells at her to just go to her class. After that, Saito apologizes to Akane, and she asks him if he really meant what he said about her in the hospital. He starts to blush, and notes that he was telling the truth, which makes her happy, and she tells him to come back home. She mentions that her grandparents will scold her if he stays away too long, but Himari overhears their conversation, so she realizes that they're living together. Everyone in the class starts talking about them, but they both mention that they'll never live with each other. Saito takes Akane out of the class, and she blames him for what's happening, but he reminds her that she was the one who talked about them living together in front of everyone. As Saito tries to leave with Shisei, he notices that they're being followed by other students. He realizes that they plan to get evidence of him living with Akane, so Shisei offers to let him stay with her. But he tells her he needs to go home, because his grandpa has started to realize he's been living somewhere else. Shisei tells him to pick her up and run away quickly, so he grabs her and gets on the bus. They stay on the bus until the last station, but they have no idea where they are, and there won't be another bus until the next day. Shisei lies on the ground, and she mentions that she can't walk, but her mate arrives in a car, revealing that there's a tracking device on Shisei. But she only puts her in the car, and leaves Saito behind. After that, Akane mentions that they're running out of rice, but Saito notes that they can't go to buy groceries, because their classmates might see them. They suddenly hear a noise, and as they try to find where it's coming from, they see something under their bed covers. Akane tries to hit it with a bat, and Saito stops her, but he accidentally falls on her. Mao suddenly arrives, and she starts taking pictures of them, as she tells them they're being romantic in the middle of the day. Himari also joins them, and she apologizes for exposing their secret, but they tell her it's not her fault. They also apologize for hiding it from her, but she notes that she already had suspicions that they were living together. Saito mentions how their grandparents fell in love when they were young, so they're trying to relive their love through them. So Himari realizes that they aren't in love, which means she still has a chance. She tells them to show everyone the opposite of what they think, to stop the rumor from spreading, but they have no idea what she's talking about. The next day at school, Saito tries to act like Shisei is his girlfriend, but nobody pays attention to them because they have always been too close. She thinks they need to be more aggressive, so she tells him to kiss her, but he refuses to go that far. After that, Mao offers to be his girlfriend, but he refuses because he doesn't know what she'll do to him. Himari realizes that she's the only option left, and he tells her she doesn't need to do it if she feels uncomfortable, but she's happy to help him. At the house, Akane reminds Saito that he's only pretending to be Himari's boyfriend, so he shouldn't get lost in the moment and do things that will get them in trouble. But he has no idea what she's talking about, so he asks her if he can hug or kiss Himari, and she notes that she's fine with everything, but he'll have to pay for his actions. The next day, Himari starts acting like Saito's girlfriend, and after they have lunch, she takes him to an empty classroom. He doesn't know what they should do, and she mentions that there are a lot of things coming to mind, but she doesn't know what to choose. He starts laughing, because he didn't think there would be a situation she didn't know how to handle, and she mentions that it's because she likes him. He tells her to do anything she likes, so she asks him to cuddle her, because she always gets jealous seeing how close he is with Shisei. She notes that it's a weird request coming from someone as big as her, and she tells him to forget about it, because she might crush him, but he tells her she doesn't need to worry about it. She sits on his lap, but she tells him to hug her tighter, because people are watching them. After that, their classmates ask Himari to tell them what's going on, so she reveals that she and Saito are dating, and they wonder what happened to his relationship with Akane. So Himari mentions she was just joking when she said they were living together, because she got jealous seeing how friendly Saito was acting with Akane. After that, Akane meets with Himari and tells her she's going too far, but she mentions that if it seems that way to her, it means their plan is working. Saito and Himari enjoy their day together, and as he's about to drop her off at her home, she invites him in, but he refuses her offer. She starts crying, but he comes back and mentions that he'll stay for a while. She takes him to her room, where he sees his picture, and she tells him she isn't stalking him, saying she just took a copy of the picture from their school trip. He tells her to do whatever she likes, so she notes that she'll take his pictures and put them everywhere, but he thinks it's creepy. He looks around her room and sees that she reads plenty of psychology books, so he wonders if she's smarter than she looks. Himari shows him how everyone in their class group chat is talking about them, and he's impressed by how well her plan worked, but she notes that it's just luck. He thinks that it isn't true, because he saw the kinds of books she reads, and he asks her if she's interested in psychology. She tells him how she was bullied in grade school, but it stopped thanks to Akane. She knew she couldn't always rely on her, so she started studying psychology because she thought she could use it to help Akane. She thinks it's lame, but he respects her for doing it for her best friend. She asks him if he has romantic feelings for Akane, but he mentions that he doesn't like her in that way, so Himari wonders if she has a chance with him. She doesn't care about anything as long as she has him, but he tells her she's worth more than that. She mentions that her parents don't come home as long as she's living there, and he notes that his parents are the same. He prepares to leave, but she grabs his arm and tells him to stay a bit longer. At night, Saito returns home, and he tells Akane he was at Himari's place, which shocks her. Himari calls Akane to ask her if Saito arrived safely, and Akane tells her that pretending to be a couple must be hard, so she can quit if she likes, but Himari doesn't mind it at all. Akane mentions that the rumor has already died down, but Himari notes that it isn't enough, and they need to do more. She asks Akane if she isn't okay with her being close to Saito, and she offers to stop if Akane feels jealous, but she mentions that she doesn't have feelings for him. So Himari notes that it's a win-win situation for them, because Akane can keep living with him, while she keeps acting like his girlfriend. One evening, Saito realizes that he still hasn't exchanged contacts with Akane, so he asks for her number, and tells her she can text him if she needs anything. So she gives him her contact details, and saves his number in her phone, telling him he's the first boy in her contacts. But she doesn't want anyone to find out she's texting him, so she decides to put Idiot as his name. He suggests using an awesome name instead, but she comes up with something ridiculous, so he tells her to forget about it. She suddenly starts texting him, even though they're in the same room, and her messages are super random, so he wonders what's wrong with her. She runs off, but she suddenly calls him, so he reminds her that they're still in the same house. The next day at school, Saito asks Mao to tell him about the girl he met at his grandfather's party, and he promises to do anything for her in return. Shisei asks him why he wants to find out, so he explains that he's just curious, and he believes it could be Akane, but he recalls that the girl was like an angel, so he thinks it's impossible. Mao promises to tell him if he hugs her, and he agrees to do it, but she gets flustered, and Shisei suddenly invites her to go on a date with her. She explains that she wants to talk to Mao in private, and they decide to skip school, as he notes that she still hasn't answered his question. He receives texts from Akane, who starts ranting because the house is messy, so he thinks there's no way the girl he met at the party is Akane. Saito returns home, where he receives a call from Tenru, and he ignores it. But Tenru uses the TV to start a video call, and he tells Saito their family will gather for a birthday party. He reveals that the celebrant is his cousin, who kept their family in check all these years, and he tells Saito he needs to get along with her if he wants to become the head of the company. After the call, Akane wonders why she heard voices in the room, so he reveals that Tenru called him and invited him to a birthday party. He wants her to go with him so that he can introduce her to his family, but she becomes flustered hearing this. He tells her it's just a party, so she doesn't have to worry about formalities, but she explains that she can't join him because she needs time to mentally prepare. He thinks she'll be lonely if she stays home alone, and he's worried that she might die if the power goes out, since she's such a scaredy cat. But she explains that she can survive alone, and she mentions that she always wanted to spend time with Himari, so he can stay with his family for as long as he wants. Saito heads to the party, and the maids welcome him, as Reiko reveals that the head household considers him as one of their own. He realizes that everyone's already drunk, and he greets the celebrant Shizu, who mentions that she still has more birthdays to come. Tenru asks him about Akane, and he wonders when they'll have a child, but Saito tells him they don't plan to have children. Tenru thinks they should take a bath together, but Shizu tells him it's a sensitive subject for young people. Saito tells her to stop Tenru, because he's forcing people to get married, but she reveals that she supports him, and tells Saito to take care of his wife, since she's from a prestigious family. Shizu mentions that she thought he'd end up marrying Shisei, and he notes that it would never happen, but he realizes that she's blushing. He tells her not to take it seriously, but she suddenly hits him and tells him to pat her head. Meanwhile, Himari visits Akane, and she's glad that they're still on good terms, because she thought Akane hated her for what she did. But she knows that Himari worked hard to protect her, and she notes that she doesn't care about Saito. They bake cupcakes together, but Himari takes a picture of them and sends it to Saito. She reveals that they exchanged contacts a while ago, but she realizes that Akane is jealous, so she wonders if she should delete his number, but Akane tells her it's okay. Himari reveals that she always sends her selfies to him because she wants to attract him, but he keeps ignoring her. She suddenly receives a message from him, and she tells him she'll give him cupcakes with love, but he tells her he isn't interested. Akane becomes worried because he never texts her, and she checks her phone as Himari realizes that she's waiting for his text. She mentions that she hates him, but Himari explains that she can't hate someone she doesn't care about, and she realizes that Akane also has feelings for him. After Himari leaves, Akane thinks about studying so that she can beat Saito, but she keeps checking her phone, and she realizes she's lonely. We return to Saito, as he watches over Shisei while she's sleeping. Tenru tells him to drink up, but he reminds him that he's still a minor, so Tenru gives him an herbal tea he made, because he wants him to suffer. Saito takes Shisei to her room, and her maid tells him he can also sleep there, but he isn't interested, and decides to sleep in another room instead. He receives a call from Akane, who notes that she feels out of place, because she isn't arguing with him, so she wants him to come home. We see Akane as she prepares to go to sleep, but she suddenly hears a noise coming from the window. She thinks it's a burglar, so she prepares to attack, but she realizes that it's just Saito, so she helps him up. He explains that the front door is locked, and he tried to use the intercom, but she didn't answer it, so he decided to use the window. She asks him why he didn't stay with his relatives, so he reveals that he changed his plan because he found a bus he could use to go home. He reveals that he took the bus and walked for 2 hours so that he could make it back to her. After he takes a shower, he immediately goes to sleep, and she asks him to tell her what happened at the party, but he doesn't respond, so she thinks he must be tired. She covers him with his blanket and welcomes him home, but he realizes that her calm voice sounds familiar, thinking she must be the girl he met in the past. Saito wakes up and sees Akane staring at him, so he asks her what she's doing, but she tells him she's just watching him because he looks like a dork. She invites him to watch a movie with her and bakes cookies for him, telling him to eat them during the film, but he wonders why she's so nice to him. He suddenly receives a text from Himari, but Akane wonders if he's flirting with her, so he explains that he can't just ignore her. She knows that Himari has been sending him pictures and thinks he saved them on his phone, but he tells her he would never do that. He reminds her about their enrollment ceremony, wondering why she told him they haven't met each other in a long time. She explains that she mistook him for someone else, but she suddenly walks out, wondering why he can't remember the moment they first met. In a flashback, we see Akane at Tenru's party, and she sees Saito outside, so she wonders why he isn't spending time with his family. He tells her she looks tired, so she explains that she feels out of place because she isn't used to parties. She thinks she's bothering him, so she prepares to walk away, but he suddenly stops her, telling her he wants to spend time with her, and they enjoy each other's company. During their entrance exam, Akane does her best to answer the questions, but Saito secures the top spot. She greets him during their enrollment ceremony, but he doesn't even recognize her. We return to the present as Akane reveals that she hates Saito because she was looking forward to seeing him again, but he doesn't remember meeting her at the party. He asks her if he said something to upset her, but she tells him it isn't the case and asks him to leave her alone. We see Himari as a group of men approach her, and one of them grabs her. But Saito stops them, telling them she's his girlfriend, so they walk away. She thanks him for saving her, but he tells her to go home because it's getting dark. But she explains that she'd rather stay there because her stepmother is in her house and she doesn't want to spend time with her. He decides to stay with Himari, but she tells him it's okay, saying he should go back to Akane. But he tells her he wants to be with her, and she blushes hearing this. She reminds him that he owes her a favor for pretending to be his girlfriend, but she suddenly kisses him. The next day, Mao and Shisei notice that Saito is acting strange, so they wonder what happened. Mao thinks he kissed Akane, but he notes that it wasn't her. Shisei tells him he can tell her the truth, but Himari suddenly joins them, and Mao explains that they're trying to get him to spill the beans because they think he kissed someone. She tells them she needs to talk to him in private, so they run off, and he notes that he has never kissed someone before. She's glad she got his first kiss, telling him it's also her first time, and she asks him if he wants to do it again, but he tells her he isn't interested. After that, Akane hears her classmates talking about Himari, and she's shocked to see a picture of her kissing Saito. She runs off, but she sees Himari, who tells her she'll take him for real. Akane returns home, and she recalls the moments she spent with Himari, who promised her that she would never betray her. Saito gives her a cupcake to cheer her up, and she starts crying, so he asks her if she doesn't like it, but she tells him she's just happy. She starts eating it, as she notes that she needs to do something, and she tells Himari she wants to meet her. Akane tells Himari to stop pretending to be Saito's girlfriend, because she's going too far, but she reminds Akane that her marriage with Saito is just a formality, so it's none of her business. She mentions that she won't stop unless Akane gives her a reason, and she notes that she'll do whatever she wants with him. Akane reveals that she's in love with him, but Himari notes that she's always been into him, while Akane did nothing but bully him. They start fighting over him, and Akane realizes that Himari was just using the fake girlfriend plan as an excuse to attract him, but she tells Akane it's her fault for not noticing. Himari knows that she always liked him, because she was sad whenever he wasn't in class, so she thought about using her knowledge of psychology to make him fall in love with her in secret. But she didn't want to offend Akane, so she decided not to do it. She notes that Himari acted like his girlfriend, so that she'd realize that she has feelings for him. They know that they're best friends, but they're both in love with him, and they decide to stop holding back, because they don't want to lose to each other. Akane returns home, but Saito realizes she's acting strange, so he checks her temperature and tells her she's hot, but she explains that it's because he touched her. Saito tells Mao and Shisei that Akane appears to be upset, and Mao thinks it's because he kissed Himari. But she suddenly joins them, telling him Akane isn't angry, and she invites him to go on a date with her after school. But Akane mentions that they need to talk, and tells her to stay away from him. He wonders if something happened between them, because they aren't holding back like they used to, and he thinks he's the reason why they're fighting. But Akane tells him to stay away, and she threatens to kill him if he gets too close. He wonders what he did to her, but she notes that she'll never tell him, because she hates him more than anything in this world.